All right, ready for another deep dive?
Let's do it.
This time, we're exploring the world of Mac widgets.
Okay, I'm intrigued.
You know those handy little tools that let you personalize your Mac desktop? We're talking about everything from custom clocks and system monitors to even a countdown to Christmas.
Now that you mention it, I have seen those around. What's the story with them?
Well, the really interesting thing is that we've got a whole stack of App Store descriptions here, and they're all from the same developer, Stefan Van Dam.
So this one developer is behind all these different widgets. He must be busy.
That's what caught our eye, and the variety is pretty amazing. It seems like he's found a way to combine style and substance, which isn't always easy in the tech world.
It does seem like a lot of developers focus on one or the other. What makes his work stand out?
Well, just from glancing at these descriptions, I'm struck by the sheer range of what he's created. It's like he understands that people want to express their personalities through their tech, just like they do with their clothes or their home decor.
It's funny you should mention that. I was just thinking how much our digital spaces have become extensions of ourselves.
Exactly. We personalize our phones with cases and wallpapers, so why not our desktops, right? And it seems like Van Dam is giving users the tools to do just that.
So it's not just about functionality, it's about aesthetics too.
Absolutely. And based on what we've got here, he's not just catering to a niche audience either. Sure, some of his apps are definitely for techies who want to monitor their CPU cores.
Which, let's be honest, can be pretty useful information if you're pushing your machine to its limits.
True. But then he's also got apps that tap into those universal desires, like staying organized.
Okay, now you've got my attention. Tell me more about that.
Well, take the hard disk app, for example. Ever get that little flicker of panic when you realize your hard drive is nearing capacity?
Oh, tell me about it. It's like a little voice in the back of your head saying, time for a digital spring cleaning.
This app is designed to prevent that. It gives you a clear, at-a-glance view of how much storage you have left on your hard drive.
So you can stay ahead of that digital clutter before it becomes a problem. I like it.
Exactly. And it's not just about the basic functionality either. Van Dam has actually incorporated features based on user requests, like the ability to monitor external drives.
Really? That's impressive.
Yeah, and it really speaks to his commitment to creating a user-centric experience. It's like he's saying, hey, I hear you, and I want to make this app the best it can be.
I love that he's actually listening to his users. So many developers seem to forget about that once they've released their app into the wild.
I know, right? It's so refreshing to see that kind of responsiveness. And it seems to be a common thread throughout all of his apps, which is something we'll definitely dive into more deeply.
This is making me want to check out all of his apps.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got one that helps us stay organized. What other tricks does this Van Dam have up his sleeve?
And speaking of listening to users, I think the CPU check app is a perfect example of that.
Oh, yeah. What makes you say that?
Well, think about it. Most people probably don't think twice about their max CPU usage, right?
Unless their fan starts sounding like a jet engine, that is.
Exactly. But for anyone who really pushes their machine to the limit, like video editors or graphic designers.
Even those hardcore gamers who need every ounce of processing power.
Right. This app is essential. It gives you that real-time feedback on how hard your CPU is working.
Okay, I can see how that would be helpful. But isn't that kind of niche?
You might think so, but the thing about CPU Check is it caters to both casual and power users. Like, you can get a quick overview if you just want to keep an eye on things, but then you can also really dig into the details, like monitoring individual core performance.
Okay, so it's got that depth for those who want it. I like that. It's like having a multi-tool. You can use it for simple tasks, or you can really get in there and tinker.
And that's what's so clever about Van Dam's approach, I think. He's not afraid to offer those advanced features, even if only a subset of users will ever really dive into them.
It's like he trusts his users to figure out what works best for them, which is something you don't always see.
Exactly. And now, prepare for a complete 180, because we're going to talk about date to day.
Date to day.
Yeah.
Like a widget that just tells you the date. Is that really necessary?
That's what I thought, too. But trust me, this one's a bit different. It's like Van Dam took this incredibly simple concept, a date and time widget, and turned it into a design showcase.
Okay, now I'm really curious. How do you even make a date widget exciting?
Well, it's all about the customization. You can change the colors, the fonts, the layout. You can really make it your own.
So it's less about the actual date and time and more about how you display it.
Precisely. It's about that subtle touch of personality that your Mac's desktop might be missing.
You know, I was reading some of the app reviews, and one user called it surprisingly addictive to customize. I never thought I'd be so invested in a date and time display.
It's funny how these seemingly small details can make such a big difference, right?
It really is. It's like choosing the right picture frame for a photo.
Yeah.
It's not about changing the image itself, but it can completely transform how it's perceived.
Okay, but enough about the everyday essentials, because we've got to talk about the holiday widgets.
The holiday widgets. Now, those sound fun. Does he really have widgets for holidays?
Oh, yeah. And they're not just simple countdowns either. Take my Christmas tree, for instance. You can actually customize the entire thing.
Wait, hold on. You're telling me I can have a virtual Christmas tree on my desktop?
You got it. And you can choose different tree styles, you can swap out the ornaments, you can even change the background.
So it's like having a mini Christmas village right there on your computer screen. That's adorable.
It really is. And I think it speaks to that desire to bring those festive elements into our digital spaces, especially during the holidays.
It's about creating that sense of atmosphere, even if it's just on a screen. I can definitely get behind that.
And the best part is, he doesn't just stick to traditional holidays either. He's got an app for Lunar New Year, too, called My Lunar New Year.
Okay, that's awesome. It's not every day you see a developer embracing diverse cultural traditions like that.
Right. And just like his other apps, My Lunar New Year is packed with customization options.
Like what?
You can choose from different festive backgrounds, you can display the current year in the Chinese zodiac, you can even set reminders for key events.
So it's both educational and engaging. I love that.
It's a great way to learn about and celebrate a holiday that might not be as familiar to some people.
It's those little touches of cultural awareness that really make a difference.
Okay, before we move on, I have to tell you about one last app. Sunrise Day Greeter.
All right, you've piqued my interest. What's so special about this one?
Have you ever wished your desktop could be a bit more serene?
Who hasn't?
This widget shows the passage of time through these beautiful, calming scenes. Like, imagine a sunrise, then a bright sunny day, and then a peaceful sunset.
Wow, that actually sounds really nice. I could definitely use a little more tranquility in my digital life.
Right. And of course, you can customize the greeting message and choose whether or not to display a digital clock.
Of course. Gotta have those options.
But yeah, it's definitely the most visually stunning of the bunch, in my opinion. It's like a little piece of digital zen.
I'm sold. It seems like Van Damme has thought of everything.
You know, it's funny how we spend so much time interacting with our devices.
You're telling me. It feels like I'm glued to a screen half my life these days.
Right. And I don't know about you, but I'm starting to realize how much my digital environment affects me, like my mood, even my productivity.
Oh, 100%. If my desktop's cluttered, I feel cluttered.
It's like that, isn't it? And I think what Van Damme's apps highlight is this idea that we have the power to change that. We can create digital spaces that are actually calming and inspiring, just like we do with our physical surroundings.
It's so easy to forget that our devices aren't just tools, they're environments.
Yeah.
Like, I put so much effort into decorating my apartment.
Right. Making it feel like home.
Exactly. So why wouldn't I put that same effort into my digital space,
I'm totally with you. And I think for a lot of people, widgets are that first step. It's a way to inject a little bit of personality, a little bit of joy into a space that might otherwise feel purely functional.
Totally. And it's more than just aesthetics too, right? Like if you have a widget that helps you stay organized or reminds you of an important event.
It can actually make you more efficient, less stressed.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's like having a personal assistant, but way less demanding.
And that's what I find so fascinating about Van Damme's approach. He gets that balance between form and function. His apps are beautiful to look at, but they're also incredibly user-friendly and purposeful.
He's definitely found that sweet spot. And honestly, that's something I think we can all learn from.
Absolutely. Whether you're a tech enthusiast or just someone who wants to make their digital life a little bit brighter, I think there's something really inspiring about Van Damme's work. So as you go about exploring his other apps, and we highly recommend you do.
Yes, go check them out.
We'll leave you with this thought. How can you apply those principles of thoughtful design and user empowerment to your own digital life?
What small changes can you make to create a more personalized and uplifting digital experience?
It's about taking control and making your tech work for you, not the other way around. And on that note, thanks for joining us for another deep dive. We'll catch you next time.